Today we are starting volumes of cylinders. So before we were doing surface area and now we are doing volume. I want you on page 313 or just on a blank piece of paper in a notebook or somewhere around your house. I'm going to highlight what I want you to write down. I'd like you to write down the formula for, so actually let's title this volume of cylinders. Please write the formula. Here's the formula. V equals pi r squared times h. And then I want you to write the words and quotes in terms of pi. What it means to have something in terms of pi is that the pi symbol right here is actually in your answer. And this is an example. Some of your answers today might look like this: 12 pi centimeters cubed. So a couple of notes. Right here in our formula, pi r squared, you might see something familiar and you might think, oh, that is the formula for a circle. That's true. So think of a cylinder, remember the two circles, and think of what it would mean to take that pi r squared and just multiply it by the h. Digits does a really good explanation of this, so I'm going to go ahead and play this for you. Here is our cylinder. There's our circles, and you want to think of them as sort of stacking up on top of each other. We're filling up this cylinder with the height.
The formula for the volume of a cylinder is the area of the base times the height, or V equals B times H. The area of the circular base is pi times radius squared. Substituting pi times radius squared for B, you can write the formula for volume of a cylinder as pi times radius squared times height. The volume of a cylinder is represented by pi times radius squared times height.
Okay, so that's what I want you imagining when we are doing volumes of cylinders, is this sort of filling up of the cylinder. Okay, let's flip our page. Find the volume, leave the answer, and here's that term in terms of pi. Pi is actually going to be in your answer. Okay, first thing, leave in terms of pi. Next, we want to recall the formula, volume equals pi r squared h. Let's remember that our r is our radius and our h is our height. So when we see r, we're going to use 10. When we see h, we're going to use 12. So this becomes a little bit of mental math because we know what 10 squared is, and we might even be able to do that multiplied by 12. But here we go. So we're going to substitute in 10 squared times 12. So we know this is 100. 100 times 12. Well, we're just going to focus here because of our pi symbol is going to stay. That's what in terms of pi means. We have 1200 pi, and that is our answer. Our final answer should be 1200 pi centimeters cubed. Now, when you see this sort of thing on digits, you're going to have to use the little math toolbar that's at the bottom of your screen to use their pi symbol. Okay, let's keep going. How does the volume of a cylinder change if its height or radius is doubled? So I would split this up in a little T-chart. We're going to do height doubled right here and radius doubled over here. So if our height, let's take this cylinder for example, if our height was 12 and our radius was 10. So if we doubled the height, we would get 24 and our radius is going to stay 10. Just for the sake of like some mental math, we're going to use pi, we're going to do in terms of pi still. So we would do 10 squared, 100, times 24, and we would get 24 pi centimeters cubed. Well, what if we doubled the radius instead? So let's keep our height down at 12 and our radius doubled to 20. Well, that would be 20 squared times 12. 20 squared times 12, we'd get 400 times 12, we're going to get 4,800 pi centimeters cubed. So let's compare these two answers. If you double the height, your answer doubles. However, if you double the radius, your final answer does what? It just got quadrupled. It just got 4 times bigger. And 4 times bigger than what? Remember that our original up above this was 1200 pi centimeters cubed. So we have 24 for doubled height, and we have 48 quadrupled for doubled radius. Okay, you're preparing juice from a can of liquid juice concentrate. The directions say to add 3 cans of water to concentrate and then stir. To the nearest cubic inch, how much juice will you have? First and most important thing here is, what is juice concentrate? If you don't know, it looks like this. It's found in the freezer section. You put in the entire thing into a pitcher and you get a pitcher of orange juice. So, next thing we want to remember our formula. Formula is volume equals pi r squared h. We want to notice here, are we given r? No, we are not. What are we given? We're given the diameter. Well, that's nice. We just got to divide it by 2. So we know our r is going to be 1.125 inches. Our height stays the same, 4.25. We're going to use 3.14 for pi. Now, it doesn't say to leave it in terms of pi, so we're just going to assume that this is what we do. I'm going to input everything. So here we go. Volume is 3.14, that's pi, times radius squared. Radius is 1.25 squared, times 4.25. So I'm just going to put that in my calculator, just like I was doing with surface area. And I'm going to get, this time, around 17 point something. Well, then we go back and we're like, what is it having us do? It says to the nearest whole number, to the nearest cubic inch. Now, if you typed 17 into digits right now, you would get the answer wrong, because they want to know how much juice we will make. This is just the can of concentrate, but it says here the directions say to add 3 cans of water. So what you have to do next is actually multiply this by 4. So we're actually 4 of these cylinders worth, so 17 times 4, and we get approximately 68 inches cubed of juice. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and pause here and try to get the volume of this cylinder, and it says here leave in terms of pi, so that means the pi symbol should be in your answer. Pause here, try it yourself. Okay, so we have pi r squared, r is 6, times 15. And if 6 squared is 36, 36 times 15, I got 540, and my answer is just 540 pi centimeters cubed. Next type of problem you're going to see is on page 315, and without even reading, I noticed something about this cylinder. There's no radius, so that gives me a clue here that something's different about this problem. It says, what is the radius of the cylinder that has the volume of 192 pi cubic feet and a height of 12? So this time you're given the volume and you have to solve for the radius. So first thing we want to consider, here is our formula, V equals pi r squared h. Next, what are we given? We're given our total volume. What do we need to solve for? Our radius. I'm going to input what I know. So here's what I know. I know my volume is 192 pi. I know pi r squared h is my formula, so I'm going to show what I know. Since it's in terms of pi, I'm going to keep the pi symbol pi. I'm not going to try to do it in 3.14. R squared, I don't know what r is, that's what I'm trying to figure out, and I'm going to multiply it here by 12 because I know that's my height. Well, now I'm trying to solve for r, so what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to cancel out my pi's. If there's pi on both sides, it's really nice and easy to just forget they're even there. It'd be like dividing by pi on both sides. Speaking of dividing, what can I now divide? Now I can divide both sides by 12. I'm going to knock this 12 out. Remember, I'm trying to solve for r. How am I getting r alone? I got to knock out everything around it. So I do 192 divided by 12. I get 16, and now my r is just squared on that side. So how do I undo a square? I take the square root of both sides, and I get 4. The 4 tells me that my radius is 4 feet across. Final answer. Last one for the video. I want you all to try this. It's one of the ones where you have to solve for radius. So fill in what you know. You know that the volume is 562.76 centimeters cubed. You want to find the radius to the nearest tenth. So this time you are using 3.14 for pi. Try to pause here and try this on your own, but I am going to walk you through it step by step. So pause now. Okay, so here's what I know. I know my volume is 562.76. I know I'm using 3.14 for pi. I'm trying to solve for r, and I know my height is 10.16. I'm going to first divide both sides by 3.14, just like in the other one when we divided by pi. When I divide that by 3.14, I get 179.22. Now what's over here with my r is a 10.16, so I have to divide now by that, and I get 17.64 equals r squared. Well, of course, I just want r alone, not r squared, so I take the square root of both sides, and I get about 4.2. So if I go back up here, it says rounded to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to do 4.2 centimeters in my final answer. Good luck with your assignment.